I'm looking at Yaharong as someone that can get very much shut down with his mid-jungle TVT. Now, it's not an Ari with the vibe, but Echo is another very high engage range champion, and that's very good. It's one of Jet's specialty champions. I look at Zeri. That Vi is great into the Zeri. I really think there's a lot of ways for Sengoku to actually properly engage onto the carries this game.
I will be that contrarian because I love to play the part. You know that all too well, gentlemen.
I do.
And honestly, while I do agree with you, it comes down to hand performance in this. And while Sengoku have been kind of a thorn in Detonation FocusMe's side, and it is going to be that first strike Lucian, which you did also
Becoming
mention
more
with the electrocute coming for Enzi. Absolutely, it just deals more damage in the laning phase, and it's also a way of scaling. Paz, you're finding yourself out here, and honestly, this is a player who I feel like is part of my point where I feel like I want to be a contrarian. Ebby's side lane pressure, I think he's just going to understand how to play and when to join. He's gone for the ghost TP, ghost flash.
Yeah, see you later, we're going side lane.
Killing Paz, and Paz has had to... Yeah, exactly. Over and over again. But there's going to be a bit of invade for DFM
Level 1 gaming. Here we go. Ebby will have the spinning slash. Does get in. They're onto that blue buff once, forced away for now, but will likely have a vault breaker with. But Ebby is not done, forcing him away from even his wolves. As Steel onto that one.
What's Jet started with? Is he Q or E start here?
Now coming over. Might want to make this one an interesting one. Talia coming though. He's going to do what he can. Remember, Ebby will do what he can to make this one as difficult as he can. Paz queuing forwards, taken by Once, who does get the level 2 verse. Now, Ebby's in a difficult position, but Jet takes a massive chunk, has to flash out. Yes, you get your blue buff, but look at what you've burned. Flash in both your mid and jungle for blue buff.
God, how do you even start this, right? Because the... Oh, God, this is...
it's good on Ebby's back, isn't it? It feels like it's
literally just Ebby just going, I mean, I've got a level 1 champion. Let's do something level 1. We saw this at MSI, actually, versus, I believe it was Saigon Buffalo. They did this within one of the games. They just walked in topside, like, all right, let's go for it. But the thing about Tryndamere is that if you get to actually stack up auto attacks, you get a lot of stats for free at level 1. You have that gap close with your spinning slash, but every auto attack you get gives you more rage, which gives you more crit chance. So he just walks up to them and goes, all right, cool. I'm going to go out DPS you at this point. So topside weirdness, still behind in terms of the timings he's going to hit in terms of the ability to impact the game. But you can also see that Yaharong stacked up a huge wave in mid lane. You can see that now Jet has no flash. That actually means that with both junglers being behind and Jet having no flash, that worry which I had about Yaharong, at least in early lane, that has somehow worked itself out in DFM's favor. So in terms of the hands he needs to have on keyboards to stay alive, a little bit easier to do that now.
And that's when you've got Ebby on your team. You just know you're going to be able to get away with random things like this. It's the Ebby factor. I mean, he killed Fudge, so I mean, he gets the factor performance. Right?
Exactly, that's how it works. Yeah, shrimp over Fudge every day of the week, apparently. Slight bias here to the LJL region for obvious reasons. But as it stands, yeah, it's an interesting level 1 play that gives some minor lane advantages to DFM, even if, of course, one still got the blue buff. I don't necessarily think Sengoku were expecting to have to outthink the level 1 but
again, this is
wildly there. And of course,
this is one of the things which only DFM will do in this region. And you can point at any other team within the Japanese League of Legends scene, and they wouldn't be pulling this off at level 1, especially not to this level as well. So still going to be slightly further behind Once, so maybe Once as the real early game playmaker for Sengoku can get things rolling. But you can see Yaharong much more safe in the laning phase now. And I think one thing which I'm really looking at later into the game is how much of an easy time Yaharong is going to have. It's going to be a difficult game to be a Talia. If you do get him towards a crown, though, maybe that's... Yaharong has no mana. He can't fight this.
He can't, but once being traded onto, Yaharong does have flash, though, and is still trading out pretty well. Does have enough for a threaded volley. Flash from Steel. Not quite in range for a crushing blow. So the flash is blown, but cannot secure the kill.
This just amplifies the performance. Steel has already secured top Scuttle Crab. I was actually paying attention this whole time to where was Steel going to go? Where was he going to make his first action? The fact that he was able to secure top side Scuttle Crab now means look at the vision for the side of Detonation FocusMe in the top side. It's so much. It's just illuminated. And then for the side of Sengoku, they've got some vision in the north side, but they're pinging, trying to suggest where the idea of Steel is. And this is just what Steel brings to a team, isn't it, Nymera? He just knows where you always are.
And Steel is another historic player. Look, this whole series is going to be a lot of history, folks, and if you want to learn about these players, get ready for the TED Talk. But Steel, In previous seasons, Steel was someone that I really heavily criticized on DFM. I think back to the last finals that these two teams had between each other in 2020 spring. I was very much against Steel, but as you can see, Steel in this year, being active, getting on the map. Paz has a Ghost this time instead of a Flash, but Steel in 2022 has been having the season of his life. As this now resident Japanese player for Detonation FocusMe and a key to their multi-year plan of building this roster, it's so important that Steel has been a factor to at the highest level for Detonation FocusMe, and is one of, and I would say just the best jungler in the league.
Oh no. I love how obnoxious Ebby is being. I thought he might go for a little bit more there, because of course the Ghost has been popped. Ebby not at level 6 yet, but once coming around, probably to just help out his top laner, because he does want to get the back off. And
he's used Vault Breaker. He actually could die here. I was really worried for a second, because I'm like, hang on, what's going to happen with that CC?
But it's level 6 coming through. I know, I was too. Yeah, it was like, that could be really dangerous, but doesn't happen. But Harp's come for a roam up mid lane, and Jet, with the level 6, will have that opportunity to chrono break his way to safety. Don't know whether he'll need to use it quite yet. Throws down the parallel.
But this is the difference in the early game between these two rosters, I would say, in a lot of ways. Said it in game 1 as well, which was effectively, if Sengoku do something early game, it is through ones. If DFM do something early game, everyone is involved, particularly Harp, Steel, and Yahorong moving together as a unit, which is what we've seen in terms of global League of Legends, some of our top teams doing that. That's not to disparage like Sengoku in their own ways. They love staying in lane, and they've typically been very good at that, particularly when you have players like Vital and Jet succeeding. But you can see there, Harp just making his presence known, not losing anything for it in bot lane as well, and showing that DFM across the board understand where they need to be in terms of the rotations.
And to that point, think about when Steel came for that topside gank, which blew Paz's Ghost, right? He realized he had to flash Ghost away. Ebby didn't lose anything for that. And Steel is playing Wukong, a champion that typically people go, doesn't have pre-6 ganking pressure. You need the ultimate to really get the kills. Steel keeps showing up. Remember, he got that mid flash from Jet, which is now up. Something that wasn't punished by DFM or didn't really have the opportunity. That's where Harp was coming in to maybe try and catch the last timing. Didn't work out. It's okay. You can be annoying. Paz now has got his Ghost down. Steel is going to be involved throughout this game. He's already showing how he's done it 2 pre-6, and he's been more involved than once has been.
And I'll keep our eyes on the timer as well here to interrupt, because it is 20 seconds until the Herald, and while teams might not be going there straight on spawn, we do know both these teams love to take that option, as Jet finds a good parallel convergence here. How far is he going to go? There's the seismic shove that stepped out from Yahorong in a spot of danger, flashes out before the third tick of the Z-Drive passive can come through, and Yahorong down the flash might give Sengoku license.
And you can see that Vital and NT were already roaming up. I think what they've now said is, look, wait, we've just won the mid lane fight. Jet still has summoners and still has everything available. We don't need to move our bot lane as well. So you're not even going to have this case of DFM leaving their bot lane to get plates down bot side. Sengoku, don't lose anything for this Herald when sometimes you do. Ebby is in top side though, and potentially wants to fight. Again, though, in this game, much like last game, Sengoku have stronger ultimates to play around the Herald, particularly with the Sejuani ult. Although they don't have once's cease and desist to see them.
That's what I was going to bring up, yeah. He does head straight back to the group, I think, to get that level 6 off a quick clear, because he realized with Steel coming down with Cyclone available, that discrepancy in ultimate could be really, really massive. And DFM now here in force and started up themselves. Level 6 for
it's a Herald fight again. One slashing away.
But Trindamir's got...
Needed that. Bloody hell. All right, well, he's going to come down and think about maybe just roaming in with NT, who does have the tidal wave available, but the Herald is gone. Harp may need to flash out of here. There's the Glacial Prison into the cease and desist. Big tidal wave. Turnaround's pretty good. The parallel convergence is better. Flashing forward from Jet will get another one into the hands of Vital. Ebby into the backside trying to get onto Vital. Does have the ultimate to burn. May need to flash. Gets one back. Got to swing his way out of here if he can. Gets over the wall. Has a blast cone. It's a 2-for-1 plus Herald. And that will be DFM taking that one as a relatively even trade, courtesy
of Ebby's heroic. But you should never have gone for that fight. You don't have the play. I mean, DFM get the Herald at least, so that's one thing, right? They lose out on the 2 kills. Jet has the ultimate, so it's not like Ebby's going to get anything from there. But I really, again, much like game 1, I'm starting to think that DFM are just taking fights around Herald just because they can, not because they're in a good position to do so. But Lexi, how about you talk us through this replay?
I mean, look, just pay attention to once this whole fight. I called him out, and the moment that Paz lands that ultimate, they go, hey, slam bang, we've got Combo Nation coming in. The beautiful bubble coming out as well from NT there, just securing the layers of CC that came from the side of Sengoku. It was beautifully won. The issue was, though, Ebby was allowed to keep auto-attacking, and he was able to kind of redeem DFM for this faux pas of a play, because honestly, I completely
Ebby
agree
doesn't
with
have
you,
ult. This could be a
Nymeria.
kill here.
That was not...
He could be just a dead Ebby. He's going to spin away. They can't quite get to him.
You can't keep doing this, man. This is disgusting. He did this on set countless times, turning around with the W, getting all those grit stacks and going, hey, I've got a huge shield. Doesn't have to worry about it. Tryndamere again doing it. However, no flash, no ghost for future plays, and that could come back to
Steel doesn't have the ult.
Blow those to get a hold of
Steel
Vital.
doesn't have the ult, but he's just looking towards the spot side. Might just be able to burst it out regardless, and with the ultimate's not available, Vital's in trouble.
Oh, no.
Vital's in trouble. Does get away with the speed up there, I believe, from the Tidecaller's blessing. So does get to walk out fine there. He's got himself some free-ass boots as well. But there goes the Herald. That'll come down for more plates for DFM to even up and, in fact, give themselves a proper gold lead here. No way to stop that Herald charge. Does go in. Split between Utapon and Steel. And the while, Ebby's getting a plate on the top
DFM
side.
are winning out on both sides of the map, which is dangerous now for Sengoku. Game 1, Spaz was at least neutralizing Ebby's impact on the Mordecai, so that was ending up being fine. But now Ebby getting significant farm advantage. Utapon, with the plates involved too, is starting to be really threatening as well, because with this Lucian Nami, though it is less of a lane bully, you want to make sure you're still getting advantage in the early game. So, Utapon, Harp, have some extra plate gold involved. You're really looking at Jet now. Super carry Jet for the LJL. MVP by our reckoning. The broadcast crew voting him in as some at 22 MVP to find the next big plays. So...
And I completely agree. Sorry, we had a moment there where we were trying to find out whether we had a link that was being funny on our end. And it was actually fine. We just messed something up. So I was shrugging at Lexi.
Well, Jet's shrugging at the rest of his team going, all right, I'll keep doing my
thing. But as it stands, it is. He again, considering he had that level 1 flash blown, forced out of lane early on, has played this one pretty aggressively well to make Yarong's life at least tricky in the lane, though I admit, I think DFM are feeling relatively happy with the fact that this Tryndamere is becoming very challenging to deal with, and they have got an early couple hundred gold in their name. But once Lucian hits that first item, the Gale Force comes in alongside that Dirk, which they start off with. I feel like there is a world between Jet and Vital. They can start popping someone like Yaharong, who is a little bit vulnerable, as you said, in that mid lane.
First time starting to come through, at least.
Right.
So, I mean, you can see
here.
that one's already picking up that Chempunk Chainsword, rather. And Jep teleporting back into the mid lane with that Protobelt too. So Mythics are starting to come online. That means that the next Herald fight, where of course Sengoku found themselves a good fight, you're going to have an extra bump in power to try and look for that again. DFM, are we going to see them go into another fight where they just think, we can outplay this, and then actually get a bit slapped?
They don't have Mythics. And in fairness to the last fight, they had forced once out and they were trying to rush down the Herald, and they had rushed it down. They just didn't quite extricate afterwards. They were probably 5 seconds off being able to do that, and they tried to look for the fight and got a little bit punished. It was a risky play, and Sengoku were willing to take, and came out not quite as well as they were hoping for. But mid lane again, Yaharong chunked up, but does have the teleport. I wonder whether he'll have a mythic completion on reset. I don't know if it'll be quite there. That's discrepancy right now. You're looking at that Gale Force, you're looking at that Proto Belt. No completed items as yet for DFM, as you were mentioning earlier.
Well, and the other thing to note is they're just doing a bit of trading here. The full culling coming out. Utapon taken extremely low, but the thing about that previous Herald fight was once didn't have 6, remember. He had to go back and get Gromp so they could actually get ready for it. That won't be an issue this time. And I actually think if Sengoku got to do the Herald when they wanted to do it, they would have been beautifully set up, but they're doing something spicy here.
They've used quite a lot already. There's the heal down. So that's the heal down from NT. Utapon sticking around. Yaharong is there. Will have the ultimate. The Weaver's Wall being debated. Once off vision, though, is still in this bot lane. He's been there for 30 seconds.
Hang on a
plus
second.
Now. The DFM just back away. Utapon's
What's
under tower.
here?
He's got himself flash and barrier. And yeah, good call out there. We've given Nymeria the powers of drawing and magnified mini-map tools.
Worth.
And they're going to get a shove onto Jet, who may have to ultimate here. Not quite. Will now pop the chrono break back to flash into the parallel conversion, try to get out. We'll need one more E, but overcomes Ebby. Doesn't even need it. Spins in to salute his team's kill.
Why did they give it over? Come on, man. That would have have been too perfect. Just feed the Tryndamere in the side lane. But that also does mean first turret is going to go over to Sengoku Gaming. That's going to be money going straight into the pockets of once. And more importantly,
the thing is,
Vital.
I think Ebby could have taken turret if he wanted to. He's just choosing to deny as many minions in the top side. He's got a 30 CS advantage because he's been proxy farming. He's taking away jungle camps. And that also means that even though you're getting this advantage on the bot side of the map, you're losing so much in collateral on the top side jungle camps that actually it's not as much an advantage as you would have think. Now, Yaharong has been very much soaking up a lot of pressure in this mid lane. Jet, without that flash, wasn't able to push the advantage as hard as he might have wanted to. But you can see how good the Echo has been performing, particularly Jet. Such a stalwart on this champion, is one of his real iconic picks. But Yaharong finally gets to set up something back in return with his jungle support returning to the lane.
They do it that, and DFM up about 1,000 gold, of course, but the bot side turret was the trade, and Sengoku at least do have that trade. Herald 2 is up, and I need to see whether Sengoku are feeling happy to try and contest this. Of course, it's 45 seconds on Infernal Drake. We might just see trades of those objectives.
If you're DFM, you should go for this trade. You should willfully give up the second Herald. We all know, less experience, less gold. That is the one you shouldn't really go for or fight over or die over. You shouldn't, unless you're an LPL player, maybe sometimes. It's whatever. If you want to, if that's what you're feeling, you can have for it. In my opinion, though, because of how quickly and how definitively DFM clearly aren't going to fight over this Herald outside of Ebby just being Ebby, Sengoku are going to be able to come and respond for the dragon fight, which is going to be...
So DFM didn't take the Herald fight. They didn't take the Herald fight, which I thought they really shouldn't do. I mean, you do have DFM getting items at this point, and they broke up on the bot side of their own regard. Now, this is where things start to get interesting, because of course DFM are at the point where they have a strong split pushing threat. The map is open. They have a global to turn into that lane as well. Not that Sengoku don't have the ability to play towards side lanes themselves. Of course, the Echo, very strong side laning champion, Vi able to combo up as well. But the map has suddenly got very, very open. Difference between this game and the first game, though, is that DFM have the dragons this time to control that map a little bit more in their favor.
And tempted little gank there onto Vital, who walks his way out. But the Herald charge top secures a second turret for Sengoku, who have now got quite a lot of gold. First strike has earned... Oh, that's not... Is that, what are they highlighting there? Is that first strike? The Imperial Mandate is what they're looking at. They're looking at that one there. I was like, curious what it is. My kanji is still pretty poor. I apologize there. Joshi somewhere could probably explain what was going on a bit better than I could. But either way, 2 turrets down for Sengoku in the side lanes, and that is keeping the gold at least closer than it might have been otherwise. Need to see whether DFM can start matching back on some of those turrets if they can.
They still have, again, these elongated lanes, and it is really a question now of whether DFM want to commit towards this more open map, splitting the map with their side laning threats. It also means that you have this Talia out of the dangerous laning phase. So that means that the Echo is less likely to start getting this guaranteed crazy lane. I think Echo into Tryndamere is probably a little bit Tryndamere-sided with his extra mobility at this point. Love to see that one happening, though. But as it happens, though, DFM looking mid, they're collapsing back onto it.
Here we go. Weaver's Wall trying to get onto this NT, who has to flash on out. The heal is popped after, but still gets hit by the seismic shove. Ebby's got an ultimate, but he's stunned in place. That means he's surely about to die. Needs to get out of the flail. Can't quite. Flashing away. But now once is flashing in to smite him down. And now Sengoku Gaming can begin to run over the fight. DFM on the retreat. But look at the damage Utapon's putting out. Jet's in the backside, but I don't think he wants to be there. Will Chrono break his way away. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Sengoku Gaming. But the health bars are low, and Utapon has ammo to spare. I think it'll end there, and they'll take the advantage they got and back on out.
What a performance there for the side of Sengoku Gaming, flipping a switch preferably and actually saying, hey, let's lock down Ebby. Let's use that chain CC that I highlighted previously and just define it all on him. Coming into this, though, Nymera, there was so much going right and wrong.
The map, and that's great. But you're not splitting it far enough, because if you're going to go back in towards mid lane, you need to be sure you're getting that numbers advantage. You're not winning a straight 5v5s, not with the impact of Sejuani being much stronger as a frontliner compared to a Tryndamere, especially before that late game. DFM get very scattered very early on, and the front line of DFM is just not being able to protect these carries well enough, especially with the extra ability of Lucian in these early fights. Utapon does a decent job of turning things back around. You can see how dangerous these fights get if DFM are taking in a straight up fight. I'm a little bit worried from how DFM split the map there, because it was their call to take that fight. Sengoku once again punishing DFM's mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, they were trying to get onto Eddie, and in fairness, they got very close, but the rapid response of double TPs was enough to punish there. Of course, DFM will be able to return the favor because they've got teleports of their own. They've got Weaver's Walls of their own, so that play next time will be a lot harder for Sengoku to respond to.
Look what's on bot lane. Sejuani's there, has ultimate. Yaharon going to be caught out a little bit, but not choosing to continue that play.
And we've had to match both of the split pushers now, right? This is something you said momentarily beforehand, but it is something I think is also Tryndamere favored. The electrocute coming out to dissuade and lots of trading happening, but these are two champions at this moment in time that don't have a lot of regen, right? Echo is not going to necessarily build a lot of health regen. Tryndamere will eventually do that. So eventually it will just turn into an Ebby favored scenario. He will just brute force down the side lanes. And I wonder, with a Mountain Drake also on the table for DFM, is that going to be an issue?
I think that potentially... I think in terms of the side lane stuff, but you're absolutely right. The sustain comes into it very huge, right? Because you don't have Ravenous Hunter on the Echo anymore. That item was removed for Treasure Hunter. So... And a lot of ways, but Echo,
thankfully, man,
yeah, but Echo was, but right there in the
Yeah.
side lane, you can see it was just a battle of whose ultimate was up. You can see that they tried to punish the Tryndamere ult being down and then the Echo ult being down just after that point. But DFM are returning to these side lanes a little bit more. I wonder whether that mistaken fight in terms of the fight they took in mid lane is going to punish them a little bit on that. I feel like they've set themselves behind where they could have been had they not taken that one. But Dragon is up in 40 seconds. DFM might still try and contest for it. They're looking for resets, but Utapon going to have their back stopped. And he has a lot of gold in inventory, an extra 1,500 that won't be able to be spent before this fight now.
That is a lot. Yeah, he's going to reset anyway. Of course, he is a Zeri, so quicker than you expect with his ability to wall run, and it is a Phantom Dancer completion, so worth taking the risk here. But 20 seconds are on the Mountain Dragon spawning. Sengoku Gaming are into the jungle to try and steal this one away. Utapon will get it because Once doesn't want to burn the smite.
One other thing of note, that's just an interesting thing I've noticed. Utapon has been consistently staying a level or even a level 0.5 ahead of Vital through a lot of this game, and that really could start coming into other points, because think about it, if you're a Zeri and you hit 16...
Does get Spark Surged away from now. Jet actually not the happiest person ever. He's got an opportunity to come back though, but now it's timed out. There's not going to be as much health regen the longer you leave. Unless you get the culling comes through. Steel onto Vital. Steel gets wild, but is now in danger. Turnaround's pretty good. Ebby to the backside, and Jet needs to ult, but he's been polymorphed, but not for quite long enough. Ebby will spin it in, gets the kill before the paralogical conversions can come through. Has got himself an undying amount of rage on the Vital to shut him down as well. Yaharung under tower, empty. This fish is turning into a Japanese delicacy. He's sushi under the tower.
And it's the hand stiff. It's what Lexi called out. I said, oh, you know, Sengoku are going to make these carries' life really difficult. They just outplay.
Every single time, whenever we start to doubt them, DFM come in. But however, Once still full health. He can be polymorph, but he hasn't got an ult, so it's going to be very tough. It's going to be a one-way ticket if he wants to fight for this dragon. I don't think it's worth it, personally. I don't think it's going to be good for them.
Away. They don't want to be here. The resets can come through, and there's double teleports for Sengoku, so they back on out. Once has the flash blown, they'll teleport back in, and DFM will take this opportunity to reset. Ebby respawning is going to come on out now.
And we have two items now hit for this Tryndamere. Navori Quick Blades built up after the kills in that fight. Looks like DFM, they are just going to walk away. They don't. Well, Sejuani is coming back up, so I'm not sure if Steel will be safe to look for a contest. So it's going to be a Mountain Dragon somehow earned by Sengoku after that series of events. And we're once again in a fairly even game. And an even game where we do see this Lucian starting to do significant damage when we're in these mid lane face-offs. This is not a done deal for Detonation FocusMe, even though that last fight looked good for them.
But coming into this replay, again, obviously, this starts out with Jet going onto Utapon, wanting to find it, and actually missing that parallel convergence means they actually have to give up on this play. However, now you pay your attention back onto a player I have said to highlight once before. And this one is actually still going to be the mid lane because it takes them so long to get into this play. It's not even able to get in here.
They're going to shove onto Once, but he's going to try and time it out with a cease and desist. And he'll take out Steel with a little bit of help from Jet. But what about the turnaround? Ebby has roamed down, and this marauding barbarian from the Freljord is a terror. They're just going to get the one pick and back away. Nothing else.
But this is the real difficulty about playing against this first strike Lucian build. It's less damage in the laning phase, particularly when you don't have the press the attack. But if you just hit a W, you Gale Force, you ult onto someone, it is a huge amount of damage, especially with Nami getting that E plus electrocute after that point. DFM, they're getting caught out in this mid lane, and Sengoku, they're starting to force DFM to play around them and not just split the map. There are a couple of times now where DFM have been caught a little bit out of position. It's not been game ending. You can see the play pattern from Sengoku being very powerful at this current moment.
And I think part of that is just simply because of the control that Sengoku have when it comes to vision. They aren't willing to always just give it over. They're not willing. They will fight. They will reset. And part of the reason why they actually had to give up on that dragon was because DFM had no vision on the dragon area. They had no idea of where Sengoku were coming. And yes, while it was only once that was alive, it's those teleports that you highlighted initialized, that they could have just been coming around from the dragon pit in absolutely no location, and DFM would absolutely lose that fight. So it's a heads-up move from DFM, but maybe they're playing with less information than they normally would be privy to. So this is something that Sengoku have found an improvement. And game one still went 40 minutes, gentlemen. It was not a quick and fast game that we did see from that Juggernaut match of DFM. They got down to 26 minutes in that final game. But this seems like Sengoku have come out with more to play with.
They have. I mean, my eyes are in Yaharong's inventory, of course, who's managed to get up Banshees nice and early to be a little bit safer in the side lane, a little bit harder for Jet to maybe pop out of bush and deal with, or Paz, for example, throughout that ultimate. He gets to play that little bit more aggressively. But you can see once has just been all over this mid lane all the time, trying to make plays onto people who are a little bit out of position. Utapon needs to be a bit afraid, but Spark searches over the wall.
And Jet
Alex
is now at a point where I'm getting a little bit worried about how he survives the initial engage. Got a bit of HP, of course, Protobelt and Shadow Flame both giving you some stuff there. But on the other side, if a Polymorph hits, suddenly there's Polymorph into Yaharong, hitting you with a combo. And with the amount of damage soon to be coming out of Yaharong and Utapon, I think actually, if Echo doesn't choose their angles well, you're going to see Echo hitting the ground soon after. Utapon walking in with support with Ebby, getting this vision control. DFM clumping up again, not wanting to get cut off by the Echo and the Vi, who can just snap engage. They're doing the bush bait again, but Sengoku just happy, as they did last game, to play mid-prio instead.
But even with that mid-priority that they have gained at this moment in time, oh my god, they're coming in, but they're trying to find it. There's a tsunami coming through, but again, if nothing connects, it doesn't mean they can do anything.
Place your prison down, but it will cost a flash out of Yaharong. They're onto the mid lane tower. It's gone down. Steel's now in danger to go over the wall. Now at the back end of it, seems as if he's kind of turned around from a Utapon, gets caught in the bubble of the wall, but he's still alive! Now Paz is in danger. Vital steps forward with the Gale Force, can't quite get the kill, but Jet on the side, looking at the backside onto Utapon, but look at the damage going back! Yaharong gets Paz, Jet on the backside, starts the quarter break, will need to use it. Massive damage on the stick, but can't get it done. Vital, run down by the Barbarian. He's done! He's dead! He's ceased! Vi will end up with the lap, and then violence is being enacted on the fat hands of Vi. They're going to get a turnaround onto Nami. Jet left alone, hopped in, shut down, game is over.
DFM are here, ladies and gentlemen, and boy, do they make you know it. They made everyone doubt. There was a lot of moments here from Sengoku, and they wanted this fight. They got the first victory with that tower. But what did it cost Sengoku, Nightmare? It cost them so much.
But I think the way they approached that fight, the start of it, was the correct way to do it. They look at DFM and say, yeah, we have disengaged. That's fine. We're going to play for mid-priority. We don't have to force an engage onto you. Much like that last game. They go towards the mid lane outer turret. They split off Steel, and seriously, Vital on this Lucian can see the amount of damage that this does. The problem is the over-engage at this point, because then you're diving into the Unraveled Earth. And I really want to shout out Harp as well. Harp has several key polymorphs at this point. Jet gets polymorphed right here. Doesn't actually get to get his passive off very soon after that point. He's sat there in the backline for such a long time, and Harp has been untouched with the Lulu. Rarely are you the focus as the Enchanter support, but the carries of DFM are given so much space by the utility players of DFM.
In D&D and in League of Legends, Polymorph is a busted ability, and once those initial kills go down, in fact, Utapon is still alive at high HP. The fact that Ebby gets to run down Vital, the Lucian Gale forces in and then realizes, I have to run away from a Tryndamere at 3 items? Oh no. And that is continuing to be a problem. Now with this Baron buff as well, Ebby is a nightmare to deal with. And with Yaharong playing like this, Jet's in danger. He's got nowhere to go.
He's absolutely just removed. He's just removed. And this is the problem with Echo in this kind of situation. You don't have something like a Banshees or Merc Treads. You've gone for full damage. And that CC duration you're going to get hit by is just going to leave you dead. You can see what happens when the burst comes through.
The girl that is lightning, Utapon, is now 1 level off of 16, whereas honestly,
Oh
the
no, he's gone. Vital's dead to rights. The Infinity Edge is through. There's even the QSS to make sure he cannot be stunned up. And Ebby, with that Undying Rage still in his back pocket, can begin to turn into a Barbarian. In truth, does now pop the ultimate. Paz trying to do his best to run away, but that piggy is only good for the barbecue. He had sushi earlier. They'll top it up with a second golf of pork belly. And Yarong in the mid lane. The rest of
When
DFM in the bot, they'll push it and
gets
try and
an
end the game.
advantage, they close out better than any team in the LJL. Sengoku have been one of the best teams at denying them those advantages and punishing their oversteps, but not in the first game and not in the second.
Another valiant effort. Harp is jumped on by Jet, but look at it! A polymorph once more! And he cannot finish the job he started. Nexus exposed, Nexus destroyed, and DFM are 2-0 in this series.
What another performance here from DFM, and hey, we expected it. Now, gentlemen, I think it's fair to say they're probably going to drop the ball a little bit somewhere. How are